Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Believed You Paranormal Podcast. This is officially episode 1. I'm Eric.
And I'm Michelle. Today we have one of my good friends, Lety, and we met because we both have a love for a band called Missio, and we just found each other online.
Missio.
Shout out Missio. And the more we hung out, the more we discovered that we have interest in the spooky and paranormal, and we're a lot alike. We have some very similar stories. So I was like, you know what?
Pretty much.
I have somebody that I think would be a good episode 1, and here we are.
So, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more, Lety? Let us know,
Sure.
Just a little bit more background on you.
Okay, so I'm Lety, born and raised in Houston, Texas, but of course my family is from Mexico, San Luis Potosí. Hey. And married 14 years. Oh my gosh. And 2 kids, boy and a girl. Other than that, full-time employee. And paranormal stuff follows me all the time. And I'm used to it now. Pretty much. That's about it.
So what would you say, because one of the things that we talked about in the previous episode was like our very first paranormal experience that we had, like the youngest that we can remember. Do you remember what your first paranormal experience was that maybe you didn't even know it was paranormal until you were older, but you're like, that was kind of weird and shouldn't have happened?
Well, it all started like every time I would go to Mexico and I would always hear stuff, whisperings and everything, but I'm like, I don't hear things. I usually ignored it, but I guess when I was exactly 11 years old is when it all started at my parents' house when we used to live there. And I would hear a lot of scratching noises and things moving around or things, I'm holding something and it'll like literally just smack it out of my hands and it'll just shatter everywhere. And it's happened in front of my family. Of course, I'm very clumsy, so they never believe me. Also, I would wake up with like bruises in my body as well. So something wasn't, right. And then when I started high school, every day at 3:00 after I would get out of high school, I would see 2 boys walk in from one bedroom to another, and then the other one would come out of the other bedroom and go to the other bedroom. And it was every day at the same time, and I didn't know who to tell. So I went to my little sister, and I'm like, hey, do you ever see things around here in the house? Weird stuff happening? And she goes, you see them too? And her and I are the only ones that go through this. And she will always see a lady with long black hair. She described her in a dress. And she goes, you can see through her. And she doesn't have feet. She will always be sitting at the corner at the edge of our parents' bed every morning. So she hated going in the mornings to their bedroom. I never saw the woman, but she never saw the boys. And so I never messed with the boys ever. But then like it started getting worse where the scratching will start like at my door. And back then we had bunk beds. I was on the top, my little sister was on the bottom. And I remember the most vivid one was when I would hear scratches and I'm over here thinking my sisters are trying to prank me. And so I would go out there, nobody. So we'll go back to bed, and then afterwards I would hear the scratching go up higher and higher. And I'm like, come on guys, stop it. This is not funny. And it was around midnight when this happened. Next thing you know, the scratching stopped, but then it started moving towards the wall on the side of my bed. And the scratching stopped right where my ear was. And I was like, okay, something's not right. I started getting scared, and I knew it was evil because you can tell the difference. My energy was draining.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I remember I just covered myself and I started praying. I'm like, I'm praying and praying and praying. But then next morning when I woke up, I had scratches and bruises in my back, in my back. I'm like, how am I gonna? My mom was like, maybe you hit yourself or maybe you scratch yourself by accident. I'm like, how? It's in the middle of my back. I can't even reach my back.
And
then
did
after,
you? Sorry, did you like feel it when it was actually happening, or it was like you would sleep through the night kind of thing and wake up and it was just magically there? Like, did you ever?
I remember praying so hard that I don't remember the rest. Like I literally was like, it was almost as if like I went into like a coma or something. Because when I woke up, I felt I had a really bad headache, and I felt like I was outside my body. You know
And
what I mean?
the bruising and stuff like that, was that only you that experienced that, or did your sister also experience that? Because I know you said you
No,
both saw him and stuff like that. Was it just something
it
that
was just
happened to you?
me. I
Just you.
was the one that was getting the bruises
Hmm.
and scratches. And that happened. Nobody believed me. My little sister, of course, believed me. And so then after that, um, I remember it was we were hanging out at night. We're having coffee, pan, and café
Yes.
con pan dulce and everything.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "Go get me the coffee." And of course, it was an instant coffee. I remember I grabbed the coffee and I had it. I was holding it with both hands. And when I turned around, literally the coffee went out flying. My hand stayed like this, like I was still holding it, but that thing went flying across the room. They didn't believe me. They thought I threw it, and I'm like, how was I gonna throw it like this? Like my hand stayed like this,
Yeah.
holding it. I mean, I would always get in so much trouble because everything that would break in the house, it was me. Always. Doors would be left open, cabinets, dishes would be put around. Like, we would find dishes in the bedrooms. And we're like, I promise it's not me. I'm not
Really?
trying. Like, it was weird. So then every summer, my little sister and I would always we were in charge of keeping the house clean. You know, the Mexican moms, when I get home, better be clean. So her and I would clean the kitchen and the whole house. We would grab food and we would lock ourselves in the bedroom because as soon we knew around the same time every day, and that was like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there would be a lot of movement in the kitchen. No one there. It's just me and her alone in the room. And I remember the chairs would move around. Dishes, you can hear dishes, pots and pans getting shoved all over the kitchen. Um, our garage door will open on its own, even though we have everything locked. Our front door unlocked will be unlocked by the time we'll go, after everything stopped. And it was like a daily thing. Her and I knew not to go out at a certain time. And that was every day. Uh, and then until one point, I told my parents, like, I think you guys need to bless this house. And they're like, it's been blessed. There's nothing in here. And I'm like, I swear, there's something not right. When I made that suggestion that night, I remember that I was falling asleep. I was asleep. But then something woke me up and I felt something hot on the side of my left side because the bed was, bunk bed is right here, the floor is right here. But and then my mom had just put a little small twin bed on the other side of our bedroom, and it had a frame and everything. And I remember that I felt something hot, and I woke up, and I felt so much pressure. Next thing you know, I felt like something pushed me on my left side, and my body went flying across the room, and I landed on the frame. Like my other side landed on I hit myself on the frame of the other bed. Obviously, they're like, "Oh, you just fell out of your bump bed." Okay, bump bed right here.
Yeah.
You fall, you're gonna roll down. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
But I was literally on the other side of
Straight
the room,
across.
right across on my back, and I didn't knock my air out. And that was the day I suggested we need to bless this house. So then after that happened, nobody believed me. I prayed, and the next morning I had the bruises where the force where it pushed me. I had two bruises right down the side of my body.
Mm.
And of course I had a bruise on this side, but you can tell it was like something went like this. Like you can see the bruises,
The marks.
And how
the
old were you
marks.
around this time?
By then I was like 12, 13.
12, 13.
And
So
do you think that obviously like you and your sister like are maybe a little bit more sensitive if like nobody else was feeling that, but do
mhm.
you think that it was the house that like these specific entities were kind of attached to, or do you think that it like had to do more with like you guys or
No,
both
it's
maybe?
definitely the house now.
The
We found
house.
out it's definitely the house
Ah, gotcha.
because
Okay.
um let's fast forward a little bit. By then, my mom babysat everyone's kids, that's including my kid, Sebastian. And he actually told me recently that when he was 4, and he remembers everything vividly, he said that he got home from school and he told Tita, I'm hungry. My mom was like, go to the pantry, go get a snack. When he opened that door, he saw a kid crouching underneath the pantry,
Oh,
and
no, thank
he
you.
described him
Yikes.
vividly. And he described him. And when I told him, when he described him, I was shocked because it was one of the kids I used to see when I was
Do you,
little.
do you know the history of the house? Like, have you ever looked to see if somebody's passed away there, or if, like, I don't know, there's been
I
some
haven't
sort
had,
of like tragedy?
I want to, but I haven't had a chance, to be honest, because I was like, that time I don't know, I was scared. I
Yeah,
was like, ooh,
don't want to
um,
know.
yeah, but I never told my kid, I told my kids a story that I would see stuff at my parents' house, but I never described what they were wearing or how they looked.
Yeah.
And so when Sebastian described that little boy, it was one of the boys that I remember the most. He
Hmm.
said, Mommy, he wore like a red orange shirt and some black slacks, and his hair was black and straight. That was the one that I will always remember. And I'm like, did it talk to you? And he said, it did, Mommy. He said, do you want to play? And he
So
was
no,
holding a knife. He said,
no.
and I'm like, did you look into his eyes? And he says, yes, they were black, just
So,
pitch black.
so is this the like when I was talking to
Yo,
you
I just
about
got
Black Eyed
chills.
Kids? I could like picture him in my head too.
No, yes,
It's,
that's
I
the
mean, like those
scary part.
details.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just would try like to erase that,
Sebastian
but
described him exactly the way I remember that kid. And I never, ever described that kid, ever, to anyone.
because I remember we had talked about Black Eyed Kids. I was listening to another podcast and we got into it a little bit. And you were saying that you used to see a kid with black eyes. Is this the same kid or is this a different
Yeah,
one? Is that
no, it's the
kid?
same one.
Oh gosh.
But
Okay.
that kid is connected with that woman as well.
Like the
Because
son?
I'm thinking, because at the same, my Sebastian's 4, I have a niece that's actually 4 as well. They're only a few months apart. And one day my sister got home, pick him up, and it was just them by themselves. And my niece stayed in the living room. My sister was getting her baby ready. No one was there. Next thing you know, she runs to my sister, my niece runs to my sister, and she goes, Mommy, we have to leave. We have to leave. And my sister's like, what happened? Did you hurt yourself? What's going on? And she said, no, Mommy, no, Mommy. There is this beautiful lady with long black hair in a white dress, and she said you can see through her, Mommy, but she's a beautiful lady, and 2 boys standing right next to her. She said she growled at me and told me get out. So my sister packed everything, grabbed the gift, and left the house. And when my sister told my mom started putting 2 and 2 together. Finally, the lady that my little sister used to see and the boys I used to see, my niece saw them all together, standing. Like the lady was in the middle, and she described the lady just like my little sister used to see her,
And
and
so that was your sister's daughter, the one that used to see her as
as
well.
well. Uh
So
huh.
at this
Mm.
point, there's 4 family members now that have all seen the exact same entities, and they're all
Correct.
happen to be the
The same,
son or daughter of you guys. All right.
but it's
Do
Yeah.
only
you so
happened to my niece, Sebastian, me, and my little sister. Those are the only ones that we've
Mm.
seen. But
do you
remember, they didn't know the stories. So fast forward years later, they
Next
saw the
generation.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
when you would tell your parents or your mom or whoever it was these things, like what was their reaction? Because I'm curious, like did they actually not see them, or did they just say, oh no, we didn't see them because
They're
it
in
freaked them
denial.
out, yeah, and they didn't want to like you know make it like a reality
No,
type of thing.
I I would tell my mom, and at the beginning she goes, "No, you're just saying things. Oh, you girls are just crazy. It's because you guys don't sleep enough, or back in the day, everybody stayed up." But once once Sebastian and my niece saw them and described them, that's when they're like, "Oh crap, there is definitely something in this house." and they started believing, and they do believe in stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because my mom and well, my parents never experienced any paranormal activity, they were like, well, I mean, we've never seen anything. We lived here all this time, and there's nobody here.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think that is? Like Eric, maybe you have a different question, but like it always blows my mind when there's only certain family members that are able to see or feel or have experiences with these entities, and there's like other family members that are just like, I don't know what you're talking
mhm,
about. Nothing has ever happened.
Well, I was gonna say again about the whole being in like again about the whole are they just denying it? Because I know you and I, Michelle, have talked about you know how like when you're kids and stuff, obviously you have a stronger connection to those kinds of things, and you know the ones that kind of like kill that kind of
mhm,
ability, I guess, for lack of a better term, are your parents because they're the ones that kind of suppress it. They say, "Oh, it's just you know you're seeing things, blah blah blah."
Imagination.
Right. So that's why I was asking: is it that they were just so much in denial that there was anything that was happening that they kind of just they didn't see it, but then I guess once the kids started to see it, they're like,
yeah,
okay, well then that's too many people saying the same thing for it not to
yeah.
be true. You know what I mean?
I can maybe I can see them being in denial, but my mom opened up to me after all this happened, and she said that when she was little, she used to see a man. I
Hmm.
mean, she lived in Mexico. She used to see a man all the time, dressed in all white, and she's like, but he wasn't there. I was the only one that could see him. But I guess she said I've always been able to hear things, see things, but she learned how to like close
Suppress
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
just
that's
close
what
that
again.
door. So I'm thinking she was hoping that maybe this is not going to happen to them. And so I'm pretty sure she was in denial for sure.
Yeah,
But
and
since our
that's
kids are now seeing everything, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why I was asking because you know a lot of times like you mentioned, you know, if she was experiencing those things as a kid, and you know if
Hmm.
it freaked her out enough, you know, I'm sure she doesn't want her kids to be experiencing those things as well, or even her grandchildren. So I
Hmm.
mean that's why you know I would like when I was listening to you talk, like the kind of vibe that I was getting was that they were just I'm sure like maybe your mother and stuff like that just maybe saw something but just didn't want to, you know,
Probably.
think it was real type of thing. You know what I mean? But who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's definitely I don't know. The description of the kid
Well,
is
you also
very
have to understand that we're total of 6 kids,
yeah
plus my parents. So there's a house of 8 people total. So you can sometimes when they would hear noises, oh, it's probably one of the kids. Oh, it's probably
yeah
oh, it's probably that's what they
Yeah.
would think.
That makes
right
sense.
So I can see that too.
yeah
But
no
yeah,
definitely
after that, again, my husband travels a lot. Well, not right now, but for work he travels a lot. So I would actually go and stay at my parents' house with the kids, and I hated it. I hated it because every time I would go there, my energy would get drained. And and I remember one time one of my friends they came over just say, "Hey, how's it going? How are the kids?" And my parents weren't home. It was just me and the kids alone in that house.
mm,
And I remember that we were sitting down in the kitchen and we hear somebody pull up in the driveway. And I was like, oh, it's my parents. You should meet them. And we hear the door unlocked, open, and shut. And I was like, we all got up. We went to the door. No one. The girl, there was nobody in the driveway. The door was locked. No one. And I'm like, you did not. Did I just? Am I hearing things? Am I seeing things? And they're like, no, we heard the door open. We heard, I mean, they freaked out that they literally just left me. They're like, they left. They walked out of the house. And I'm thinking over here thinking, this lady does not want anyone in this house. I mean,
yeah
I know for sure it's that woman that was pretty much tormenting me, I guess you can say, because again, when I would stay there, years later, I would wake up with bruises in my body, and I'm like, this woman does not like me. This woman does not want me. What did I do? But again, I don't want to mess with it right now because,
Yeah.
yeah,
maybe you
I
remind her of somebody from her past that she did
Yeah.
not like, gave her that energy or something. I don't know. That's
Or
because
I
something.
she would
mean,
drain my. she would drain my energy. I hated it. Like I would feel nauseated, anxious. I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep at all. And that's why. And my mom is like, you need to try to sleep. And I'm like, Mom, I can't sleep. And she and I told her, is there something in this house that's not right? And I'm telling her, you need to like do an exorcism in this house. And she's like, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I just don't want to mess with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it can harm the people around you. It's not because I can tell when it's evil, and I can tell when something is not
Just there.
won't
Just
bother. It's
whatever.
just
Yeah.
there, and I know for sure. And until now, every time I go to that house, I hate entering that house. I can't
Mm.
So
till
then
this day.
to this day, then she still hasn't had the house blessed or anything like that.
Nope,
Well,
Wow.
nope.
Well,
Not only that, she moved out of the house and gave the house to my brother.
oh
and
no.
now are they experiencing anything?
I haven't talked to him. I've been wanting to ask, but but I'm pretty sure they have because there are times when they come over to my house, my niece is like, "Can we stay here? Can we stay here with Lety? Like, can we stay here with her? We don't want to go back to that house." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Listen to your kids, guys.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in the house." And there's 5 kids in that house right now.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I can
Well,
guarantee
7
if
if you include the other 2.
oh, okay.
That and there's
Yeah.
another one coming.
Oh,
Oh man.
jeez.
Uh, yeah.
Oh,
Can guarantee that if my kids started telling me that they saw something, heard something, felt something, were pushed, pulled, whatever, I would believe them 100% and call in the priest and be like, all right, let's go.
start burning some
Exercises.
sage.
Yeah. I just,
Yes.
I don't, wouldn't ever want to be that parent that doesn't believe their kids because it's kind of a crappy feeling.
It is.
Or it's, yeah. So I think it could be detrimental.
Yeah,
I
you got it.
promise I know words. Detrimental? Is that
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Detrimental. And I mean, I think that it's important that if kids have these abilities to kind of like keep going with it, not shut it down
Mhm.
because I almost feel like that's worse. If they don't know how to handle it or if it keeps happening, if they can't
Mhm.
kind of just close that off and it keeps happening and no one believes them and everyone thinks they're crazy. And this, I mean, this is one of the reasons why, again, I wanted to start this podcast is like, I don't like talking about these things because I feel like I'm crazy because society tells you that if you hear
Mhm.
voices, if you see things that aren't there, like there's something wrong with you. But I don't know. I just don't
Well,
think
for
that's
the
the case.
longest, I thought I was crazy and I thought I was a schizo because I would
Mm.
see stuff. And psychologically, it messed me up. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm like, I think I'm crazy. Am I schizophrenic? I am. I even had to I had to get counseling for this because I would tell her, I even told my counselor, I was like, I feel like I'm a schizo because I see stuff, I hear stuff, and then she goes, "You're not a schizo because one, schizos don't know that there's schizos," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah.
So, I mean, at one point, everybody tells me, "Well, you should use it to help other people," but then for me, I'm like, I feel like it's a curse. Why can't I close it? I wish I could close it. I want to learn how to. I mean, I've tried several times to close it, but I can't close
Well,
it.
what about instead of trying to close it, learning how to protect yourself and how to learn how to use it? Because I mean, Eric, this is something that I've like talked to you about too. Is like
Yeah.
everyone has this fear of like, well, I let's say like mediumship. Everyone's like, well, I don't want to see dead people. I don't want to talk to dead people, and it's actually not as scary as
Hmm.
it like I guess TV and movies make it out to be. It
Yeah,
could
they
be a
exaggerate.
really yeah, like it could be a really beautiful thing if you know how to do it, if you feel protected. Like I don't know. I think there if people actually just go out and kind of try and like educate themselves or like go through some workshops and stuff and learn that okay, it's not that bad. I can actually be protected. Um, it wouldn't be as bad, and that way you don't have to try and force yourself to close it and
Hmm.
struggle through that. And you know what, like let me just accept it and learn how to deal with it, kind of thing.
But that's what I was thinking of doing now. Finally, I think after so many years, I'm like, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to finally learn how to use it,
Do
and
it.
do something
Yeah,
about it,
I know some
and
people.
and learn how to protect myself. So I've been
Yeah.
doing a lot of reading now. especially since you got me into the crystals and everything. I'm like,
Oh
I need
yeah.
more crystals. I need this and I need that, and so. But I mean, like I said, it has helped me now. I'm just trying to understand
Mhm.
because, like I said, I get attached to stuff, or stuff gets attached to me, and
Mhm.
maybe that might be a completely different podcast because a lot of weird stuff has been happening still. Like I told
That probably
you.
will have to be another one. Yeah, because I like some of that stuff that you're telling me or sending me earlier. I was like, okay, this is like a whole thing in its of itself.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I heard there was
But
video too, and I'd like that
I'm
just to.
hoping. I'm trying to get the video from my neighbor. To be
Oh,
honest, I'm
okay,
yeah,
I
trying to
see.
get it because it was caught on. And what's weird is that I never once told her about this and whatever. But that's a whole
I was gonna
different
say
story.
we'll tease it. It'll
Yeah,
come
no,
later, but it's
but
still
yeah,
creepy.
So, guys, if you want to hear that story, or you make sure you continue to tune in because it's coming. It will come.
And it's
definitely.
creepy. Yeah, I didn't even get
No,
details, and it's already creepy.
oh yeah, no, but yeah, definitely. Oh, and I forgot to tell you one time.
Yeah.
Before going to my parents' house, I was dropping off the kids, and this is the one that scared me the most. The kids were born already, and they were babies. And I was driving towards my parents' house. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and something did not want me going to her house because I was on the road, the street lights, and the street lights started flickering. And I'm thinking in my head, in my eyes, am I tired? The street lights started flickering,
Flickering. Yeah.
and then my headlights started flickering. My whole car started flickering. And next thing you know, I see a shadow of large wings. And it literally just blacked out my whole car. And everything was pitch black in my car. And whatever it was, it sucked my energy. And I started praying because I was more worried about the kids, the babies in the back. And I started praying. And all of a sudden, um, after I did the Hail Mary and Our Father, it disappeared. Like it just disappeared. And I remember my body was frozen. Like I was freezing cold. My lips turned purple. And when I got to my parents' house, my mom was like, "What happened to you? What's wrong? You look so pale. Your lips are like." Even she saw that my energy was drained,
Yeah.
and it was something that did not want me going to her house. And I know that feeling whenever she tells me, "Hey, can you come up?" No, something's telling me not to go, and I should have listened to my
Your
intuition
gut.
saying
Yeah.
don't go that morning, and I still went, and I will never forget that. And yeah, that was the worst thing.
Did anything else happen after that? Like when like it went away, you felt drained and cold, and then like did you just continue driving and like try and shake it off, or like
I
did
was
it?
trying to shake it off, but when I remember whenever the wings, because I mean you can see the shadow of wings go like this, and the wings lifted. I saw this bright blue greenish light, and it literally lit up the whole sky, and that's why I saw the shadow of the wings moving away.
Hmm.
No one else saw that.
I know what you're thinking, brother.
Yeah.
Do you want to say it? Or,
Well, I'm thinking one of two things.
I guarantee you we're
Obviously it's
thinking the same thing.
an angel for sure. Or what were you
Like
thinking?
no, I was thinking the same thing. Like if that thing was negative and evil, and then you saw that bright light over it, I don't know. Like my brother and I like associate the angels with certain colors and lights,
Hmm.
and the fact that you're saying blue and green, those are
It
two.
was
So
definitely a blue, like it started with a bluish, and it ended stopped like it was like it changed to a greenish color, like a blue green, but it
Hmm.
lit up the whole, like I saw it as soon as I was done with my prayer. The wings
Was
lifted,
oh, I got
and
chills.
I saw
Yeah,
the light,
same.
like the bright
Yeah,
light, and it lit up the whole sky.
Was
I'm still
anybody
getting chills.
sick or anything like that at the time?
Nope.
No.
Hmm.
Did
So
anybody get sick after that or before that? Or yeah, after that, I guess, because nobody was sick at the time.
I got sick.
You got sick, but like very very sick, or just like a cold type of sick,
I think like after a week after I caught the flu.
flu.
Like
mm,
I had
Mm.
fever, my body hurt. I mean, I remember it was horrible. I I got really sick
Yeah.
that day, like a week after all that happened.
Yeah, I mean, because like my sister was saying, like we believe a lot in the in the angels, in the different
Hmm.
angels that
Archangels
there
in
are. Yeah,
particular.
yeah. And I mean, like what it definitely sounded like was
Michael and Raphael.
yeah, those were the exact two that I was
Really?
thinking. Yeah, and that's why I was asking about the sickness because after you saw the light, did you feel better? Did you still feel super drained?
I felt
Uh,
drained, but I felt warm, like
yeah,
That's
a
about right.
peaceful,
yeah, yeah.
warm
Because what
feeling. But
like
I was still shaky,
Yeah.
but
right.
because of the not
It was a
having
lot.
the energy, and like it drained my energy. But then after I saw the light, like it kind of like shocked. I felt like a shock, and then I felt warm, but at the same time I felt weak.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like
Oh
almost like
yeah,
something
you're
Yeah,
just.
still drained.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know because like for example, the blue would more than likely be Michael, and well, if you had this black winged shadowy figure, enveloping your car, that
That's
would
the guy you want.
probably yeah, that's the guy you want protecting you. That's he's the angel, that protects you from
Mhm.
things that you see and things that you don't see. So I was definitely going to say, if Michelle wants to send you that, Michael, the archangel, the the prayer that we have, just so if you ever feel any kind of like anything, you have that prayer in your arsenal and stuff. And then the other
Mhm.
color was green, right? So usually that's
Yes.
associated with the archangel Raphael, and he's like a healing angel. He's the archangel of
Oh.
like medicine stuff
Yes.
like that. A lot of times people like if they're having um
Health
medical
issues.
issues, yeah, stuff like that, usually they pray to him to feel you know better and stuff like that. Obviously he doesn't necessarily work by directly healing you. I mean, he can, but also a way he works is through other people. So like for example, if you've been having issues and the doctors can't figure out what's going on with you, he works through them. So like he helps them almost like kind of find the answers. Because another example of that is like our grandmother when she went into surgery for her pancreatic cancer.
Mhm.
That's when Michelle started introducing me to the angels and stuff like that. And I really started getting into looking more into them and stuff like that and Raphael and stuff. And when she was sick and she was about to have pancreatic surgery, or have part of her pancreas removed, we were very concerned because we didn't know how bad the cancer was. The doctor was telling us
Mhm.
that that he was more than likely going to have to remove the entire pancreas. And being that she was, an older lady, uh, it was going to be very difficult for her to come back from that. And, when he went into into the operating room and got in there finally, he started to look at the stuff and see what he could do. And he said that usually in a situation like that it goes a lot worse, and he said that the outcome was a lot better than he really thought it was going to be. So I
Okay.
mean, obviously I attribute that to the doctor having the skills that he has in order to perform that surgery, but also I attribute that to Raphael listening to our prayers and helping kind of guide the doctor and help him through that as well. So those two colors, when you started saying that, like I got chills, and because that immediately is what I went to is those two angels, and again was for the
Well, I
protection and trying
do
to help you feel better.
during that time. I do. Well, I didn't say anything, but my son was born with kidney disease,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and so during that time he was going through treatment. And I think
Mm,
about that
yeah.
with
See,
for the
so
kidney
Yeah,
because he was about to go
I
into
got chills
surgery.
again.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember he was 1 year old, because the doctor told us that we had to wait for until he turned one for to have that reimplantation kidney surgery,
mm-hmm.
and it was close to that time that he
Yeah,
was supposed to get surgery,
yeah. So it
yeah.
might
which
have
I
been.
wasn't. It caught me off guard. I mean, I was like, somebody said, I was like, wait a minute, Sebastian was supposed to go into surgery like a week within 2-3 weeks after
Mhm.
all this happened
Yeah. So I
because
mean,
we
that
were
could have been,
praying.
whatever it
Wow.
was that was trying to come around you guys, and those two angels came down to help and protect you all. So
Tell
I
him to fuck
mean,
off.
basically,
Yeah, no.
Wow. I didn't think about that.
yeah.
I think so many people also like focus on the negative entities or like the bad things like the demons and stuff that I mean, like, there's so much, and I think that's why I'm not so scared anymore. Like when my
Hmm.
brother and I were talking about, like, hey, let's start a paranormal podcast and talk about everything creepy and ghosts and stuff like that. I was like, I'm not too scared about it anymore. I do feel more protected, that I know how to protect myself and like clear. Even though I feel like someone's standing behind me right now, and I don't know what that is, but I'll get rid of that soon. You know, like it's not a big deal. Like I'm not normally that would freak me out, and I'd be like, okay, I'm done. But I feel good. I'm like, it's all right. Like, you know,
Can I tell you something real quick?
shut up. I'm so scared. Go ahead.
No, I didn't. It's not. I didn't see anything behind you or
Okay.
anything. But I earlier had the like wanted to turn around behind me, but I was like, "There's nothing there." Like I know there's no. I don't feel
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
behind me, but I felt like I wanted to turn. So I don't know if I was. I don't know.
Well, Letty sent her ghost over here. I told her
Yeah,
not to do it.
feeding
I'm
I'm
you.
so
guaranteed she didn't.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
sorry.
I'm good.
No, it's
It's
all
all
good.
good. It's
I
fine.
mean, it's not the first time or the last time. I'm sure that
Yeah.
we'll experience anything
Well,
like that. So
it's just another thing we can talk about in the next podcast episode, so it's fine.
I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing that with us and not feeling embarrassed or feeling
Ashamed.
judged. Yeah, because again, I'm gonna keep saying this probably every podcast, but going back to something I said in episode 0 was, we're here to be that judgment free zone, just so people don't feel that from like what they might feel from the outside and stuff like that. We want to listen. We want
Hmm.
to, make sure that you guys are comfortable talking to us. And we're all ears, man. This is something that we're really into. We really like to hear these kinds of things, and feeling those chills is always kind of exhilarating too. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad
again,
you guys
thank you very
don't no
much.
judgment over here. You
No,
guys
no, for
didn't show any
sure.
Okay.
judgment.
Yeah.
Because
No.
everybody says, "Oh, you're just crazy. Oh, she's crazy."
I'm here to tell you you are not, because you're not the only one. Or we're all crazy, and that's fine too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Maybe there's that.
we're a little twisted. There you go.
That's fine. There
there
you
you
go.
go. Exactly, Missio. That was another shout out to you.
Yeah.
Love Miss Yo.
Yes.
OG Mafia over here.
Hell yeah.
Well, I
Hell
guess not
yeah.
me, right? But I mean,
Mm.
congratulations for you guys.
I'll take it. All right. All right. Thank you for being on the show again, Letty. We super
Anytime.
enjoyed. Yeah, we enjoyed your stories so much. So, we will definitely have you back on the show. Thank you.
Okay, well, that was our very first interview. It was good to have Letty on here with us. Interesting stories, to say the least.
For sure. One, I'm glad that she was our first episode or interview, but yeah, I just can't do ghost kids for whatever reason. Like, I love kids. I hate ghost kids. Can't do ghost kids.
Yeah, no, I was good with the story, like the lady and the two kids and all that, her getting thrown off the bed. That sounds bad, but I was fine with all that. But when she started talking about her son seeing the kid like crouched in the pantry with a knife and black eyes, and I was just like, nope, I am done with this. It's
Yeah.
that definitely creeped me out.
Well, and I mean, I think that says a lot that the two siblings, like her and her sister, that would see things as kids, like now their kids are seeing the exact same things. Like, I wonder if it's like a genetic thing or what's going on there.
Yeah, there's something definitely in that family, because she also did mention that her mom, saw stuff as a kid too.
Just kind
So
of repressed it. Yeah, that's
for
true.
sure, yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing too with the whole black wing figure that surrounded her car, and then the two angels swooping in to kick some ass, that was cool too, because that just kind of, for me, validates a lot of what you started showing me or talking to me about, and what we've come to kind of, really invest our kind of faith in and stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, man.
Um,
I love me some angels. They're pretty cool, and they always show up in ways that it's like you can't deny it. And I think the fact that those two lights showed up and then this thing went away. I mean, because I've had a very similar experience to that too. Maybe not while driving, but to have these two entities show up after the fact.
mhm.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot.
Yeah, no, and like I had mentioned with grandma and stuff like that, that was at a point where, we had, you
Mm,
had started talking to me about that, and just being able to pray to them, and the whole situation, how that played out. It's just, I believe in that for sure. So yeah, guys, if you do want to reach us, you can message us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Our Instagram handle is at We Believe Do Podcast. Our Twitter is at WBDY Podcast. On Facebook, we are We Believe Do You ? And our email is webelievedo@gmail.com. So go ahead, guys, shoot us those emails, those messages. We want to hear your stories. Again, if you have pictures or video to go along with your story, send us that too, because that just makes it a whole lot cooler. And that way everybody else can see what you experienced as well. So send those out. We're happy to hear you because we believe.
Do you?